Qatar's Prime Minister has travelled to New York, where he will address the United Nations Security Council later on today, after Israel's military strike targeting Hamas leadership in the Qatari capital, Doha, on Tuesday. Hamas claimed that the attack failed to kill senior officials while confirming the deaths of 5 lower-level members, including a Qatari security official. The Israeli attack on a country that has played a leading mediation role in seeking to end the war in Gaza has galvanized the international community in its condemnation of Israel, while Qatar's Prime Minister warned ahead of the council meeting that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had killed any hope of releasing the hostages still held by Hamas.
We cannot call it anything other than state terrorism practiced by someone like Netanyahu in the context of these systematic policies, and his ongoing attempts that have destabilized regional security and stability is simply a clear message to the region as a whole. And this message says that there is a rogue player in this region, an ongoing political recklessness that has encroached upon the sovereignty of states. Netanyahu himself declared that he would reshape the Middle East. Does this message mean that he intends to reshape the Gulf as well? We reject and condemn the Israeli authorities' aggressions in the region, most recently the brutal assault on the brotherly state of Qatar. This attack requires an Arab, Islamic, and international response to confront such aggression and to take international measures to stop the occupying power and deter its criminal practices aimed at destabilizing the security and stability of the region. We stand fully with the state of Qatar in whatever measures it takes, without limit, and we will dedicate all our capabilities to this cause.
Our position is clear and explicit. We expressed it immediately after Israel perpetrated its aggression against the sisterly state of Qatar. We condemn this aggression, as I said, as a blatant violation of international law, an assault on a sister Arab state, and a dangerous escalation that pushes the region toward further escalation. And as I said, the entire world must read the clear message in this aggression. The Israeli government is a rogue government, violating the sovereignty of a state that has played a key role over the past 2 years in working to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza.
For more on this, let's now cross to SABC News Correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease, who is live to us in New York. Sherwin, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us. Now, the council meeting was delayed by 24 hours to allow the Qatari Prime Minister to travel to New York to address the council in person. What more should we expect?
Well, I think fireworks would be, is not too far-fetched in terms of the global condemnation, Simpiwe, that we have seen, not just from the Middle Eastern countries, but Europe, many countries in Africa, including South Africa, and even some irritation from Israel's closest ally, the United States. The President of the United States reportedly spoke with Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday and conveyed his dissatisfaction with the strike against the Qataris. The Prime Minister is reported to have told the President of the United States that he took a window of opportunity in terms of targeting Hamas leadership in Doha. But this has not gone down well with the United States President, who has expressed publicly that he was not very happy with how this has played out, given Qatar's close relationship as an ally of the United States. Let me choreograph you what's going on right now here in New York. Council members are currently negotiating a press statement. A press statement is not a resolution, but it will speak for the council in a unified way in terms of what they seek to happen here moving forward. I can read you that draft statement, but it has not been confirmed yet because, as we understand it, Simpiwe, member states of the UN Security Council, all 15 of them, must agree to the statement before it will be issued. It says the following: the members of the Security Council expressed their deep concern regarding the recent strikes in Doha, the territory of a key mediator on 9th of September. They expressed deep regret at the loss of lives. Council members underscored the importance of de-escalation and expressed their solidarity with Qatar. They underlined their support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Qatar in line with the principles of the UN Charter. Council members recalled their support for the vital role Qatar continues to play in the mediation efforts in the region alongside Egypt and the United States. Council members underscored that releasing the hostages including those killed by Hamas, and ending the war and suffering in Gaza, must remain our top priority. In this regard, they reiterated the importance of the ongoing diplomatic efforts of Qatar, Egypt, and the United States, and called for the parties to seize the opportunity for peace. So that is the draft statement. It would be one of the rare instances where the collective of the UN Security Council will speak on this issue. As you well understand, the history and tradition here is the United States is a very close ally of Israel in the Council and has often blocked resolutions or statements that seek to criticize Israel. But as you see in that statement, Israel is not even mentioned. The name Israel is not in that statement. So we wait with bated breath here to see if Council can coalesce around this statement and issue it. And I will also say that Qatar will be hosting Simpiwe, an emergency summit of Arab and Islamic countries on Sunday. And if you listen to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, in that intro upsound, he says the following, and it's worth repeating: this attack requires an Arab, Islamic, and international response to confront such aggression and to take international measures to stop the occupying power and deter its criminal practices. So that summit that Doha is hosting on Sunday between Arab and Islamic countries will be very instructive in terms of how the region will respond to this attack in Doha.
You know, Sherwin, the name of Israel might not have been mentioned in that statement, but the United Nations Secretary General has condemned the Israeli action as a flagrant violation of the sovereignty and, of course, the territorial integrity of Qatar, while the President, on the other hand, of the General Assembly said the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of all member states must be respected and not violated. So, as you are reading that statement, I'm quite keen to know what the UN Charter specifically says in this regard.
Yeah, this is, territorial integrity and sovereignty are foundational to the UN Charter. This is why independent member states joined the United Nations, right? In terms of guarantees that the Charter provides for national sovereignty, for territorial integrity. But remember, this is not the first instance of territorial integrity of another country being violated by fellow UN member states. You think of Rwanda's defense force troops in eastern Congo. You think of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. You think about the United States striking Iran's nuclear facilities not too far back in history. And so this is a huge concern moving forward here in terms of how the UN Charter is being undermined by member states of the Charter that have acceded to the very prescripts that this UN Charter endorses. Let me read you what Chapter 1, Article 2 of the UN Charter says, and I quote, "All members shall settle their international disputes by peaceful means, in such a manner that international peace and security and justice are not endangered. All members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat and use of force against the territorial integrity and political independence of any state or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations." So essentially, what you are seeing here, Israel, Rwanda, Russia, and the list goes on, they are violating international law by these incursions. It goes against the prescripts of international law. The question is, the council that is responsible for the maintenance of international peace and security peace and security has been hamstrung by its makeup in terms of vetoes and the like, in terms of arresting some of these very protracted conflicts around the world. Israel and Gaza is one example. I've mentioned Russia, Ukraine, the war in eastern Congo, and there are likely many others in terms of these violations. But this really speaks to undermining very sacrosanct undergirding structures that make this United Nations operate.
All right, Sherwin, great chatting to you. And as you've been tracking global reaction, we are to see how unified international condemnation of the Israeli, of action by Israel over the strike will be. But thank you so much for joining us.